There comes a time in every Letterboxd user's life when a pressure to expand taste begins to mount. After completing the filmographies of the essential American auteurs, buying your first A24 hat, and constantly reminding those who never asked that Marvel movies suck now, you may begin to notice that some users are logging movies that you've never even heard of. While you spent the last year of your life writing lengthy reviews for every Nolan rewatch, your friend Eli made a detailed list of his favorite Agnes Varda films and has an experimental documentary about blowing out birthday candles in his favorite four movies. It's at this very moment that you will feel like you're behind. You'll realize that every movie you've ever watched had also been enjoyed by those who watched it with you, and in an effort to restore your sense of individuality, you'll give in. Inevitably, you will be disappointed. This is writing a review for a movie you didn't understand. First, there are steps that you can take to prepare for the viewing experience prior to the review stage. It's important to recognize that new wave films out of France, Japan, or elsewhere use filmmaking tactics that divert from the modern Hollywood expectations we've grown accustomed to. Due to their unconventional narrative structures, editing techniques, ambiguous endings, and stark depictions of social realism, you should go in without the expectations of another blockbuster. This is to say, you should not feel discouraged when you inevitably fall asleep on your first dive into the world of Jean-Luc Godard. Simply accept that these movies may demand viewing in installments rather than in one continuous effort. Watching in 20-minute portions ensures that, on average, you can log one movie you didn't understand every single week, which is sure to impress uncommitted followers who are afraid of subtitles and jump cuts. If you prefer a more traditional approach where watching movies is done in one sitting, there are other tactics you can employ to ensure dopamine levels are comparable to other viewing experiences. Some users may find it beneficial to bring a snack to consume while watching. Others may find it easier to watch with friends, an approach that can lead to massive gratification when your friends don't get the appeal but view you as a more cultured and intellectual movie watcher because of it. This approach may work with your significant other as well if you are one of the few Letterboxd users fortunate enough to possess that type of companionship. It is important to note that if you do choose to include others in your viewing experience, you must do all you can to conceal any thoughts upon the film's end. Roommates may say things like, "That was so fucking boring and stupid," or "What was the point of all that?" If this is the case, consider employing common deflection tactics such as, "I'll have to let that one sit with me a little longer," or remind them that ambiguous endings are common among French New Wave films. When the time comes to write your review after using one or more of these viewing tactics, you may be confused and tempted to enter a low number of stars along with honesty.
Kind of hated this. I don't get the hype or the point. Took me 3 watches because I kept falling asleep and left me bored and confused. Where was the plot? Mid.
A review written like this is not uncommon for a newcomer to New Wave or other ages and genres that are widely considered boring by modern audiences. But wait. Before hitting post, consider referencing the opinions of other Letterboxd users. It is likely that the movie you found unbearable to sit through is celebrated as a groundbreaking force of cinema by some of the platform's top reviewers. The movie you slept to is to others one of the most effective psychological thrillers I've ever seen, beautifully shot and paced so meekly compared to modern head trips that it's so much easier to fall into the movie's rhythm and to get sucked along with its deceit. It's at this point where you may feel tempted to log the film without writing a review at all, perhaps even abandoning the star system that makes Letterboxd such a force of public opinion. But before you do that, let's revisit the review you drafted a few minutes prior. By studying initial takeaways, we can use substitute language to foster an opinion that is more understanding of films that you don't understand. Some key phrases should stand out against the more intelligent reviews you've read, mainly negative sounding remarks such as "hated this," "don't get it," "fell asleep," "confusing," or "boring." Instead, try substituting adjectives like challenging, slow burn, ambiguous, slice of life, absurdist, or experimental. When speaking on the personal experience of watching the film, it is okay to mention that you may not have been in the right headspace during your viewing if watching felt like a chore. If you fell asleep, it is alright to give a nod towards the dreamlike atmosphere that the film cultivates. If you were confused, suggest to your followers that the film may require multiple watches to fully decipher the nuanced themes that the director is exploring. By substituting this vocabulary, your review should begin to sound a little more consistent with the herd mentality that drives Letterboxd.
I'm absolutely speechless. It's so easy to see how this challenged the sci-fi genre to evolve. Marker's surreal atmosphere is nuanced and meditative, serenading the viewer with a dreamlike quality that will linger with me in the quiet moments for the rest of my life. Each frame is a poetic exploration of the human experience, and the final product completely redefines what cinema can be to me. It invites us all to question time, memory, and the haunting beauty of a life that slips irrevocably away.
After writing a review in celebration of the cinematic tour de force you just watched, you should feel like you can confidently rise your star rating to accurately reflect the Letterboxd average. By publishing reviews like this to your followers, your base will begin to regard you as a user who truly knows cinema. Beyond the constraints of popcorn-munching blockbusters and A24 loyalism, you can now emerge as someone who understands the beauty in the mundane, one willing to persevere through the art house fatigue in hopes that one day your own followers may see you as an inspiration, leading them right to where you once found your uncultured self.